Hello and welcome to this BWD In The Know podcast. I am delighted to be welcomed with Jeffrey Gomes. Jeffrey, how are you? Are you okay?
I'm doing well, Harry. How are you today?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. What's it like in Toronto today?
Oh, we have a beautiful day, nice and sunny. Summertime is when we Canadians get outside and do lots of fun things. It's Canada Day week here, so we are celebrating. And so it should be a nice weekend we're going into.
Amazing,
How
lovely.
about for you in the UK?
Yeah, it's surprisingly nice weather here in the UK at the moment. So we don't get a lot of sunshine here in the UK. So when we do, everybody's in the shorts and the t-shirts in the parks trying to get the last bit of sunshine. It usually only lasts a week or two, but it's very nice at the moment. And thank you for asking. Purpose on inviting you today's podcast, Jeffrey, was I wanted to talk to you about actuarial leadership. Um, I've been working in the actuarial market for the past 8 years or so now, and I was keen to give back to the actuarial community. I think your background and your career experiences will be very useful for the wider public to tune in and to listen to. And my purpose really is if we can help one person in the actuarial community with this podcast to take something away from your experiences and your background, then that's a job well done for me. That's something I'm really, really keen to do. But prior to getting involved in the and talking about the leadership side within the actuarial market, I was keen to understand your background and your career journey first and foremost, Jeffrey, and understand why did you decide to become an actuary?
Yes, thanks, Harry. I appreciate the invitation to join you here. And the idea of helping one person, that to me is true impact. When you meet one person where they are and help them overcome a challenge or share a secret with them, um, you can really invest in them and they get the ROI quickly. So my career's been interesting and not a straight line. So it's felt more like a marathon than a sprint.
Mhm.
And leadership has been a big part of that, both for me receiving leadership from others and learning from the experience of other people, actuaries and professionals in the insurance industry, but also, like you said, giving back to people around me and helping to foster new talent and grow people up in the industry to become impactful leaders. That's really, I think, what people want from their careers is to see the impact of their work and their impact on people. I got into the career because I knew a family friend who was an actuary, and yeah, I was good at math, so I started to pursue it. And in university, the employers come to the schools
Yep.
to recruit you, and that was, pretty good value proposition at the time to be a university student to go out and get to learn about people already in the career, drinks and pizza. It was a great way to learn and meet new people. I got a sense of the actuarial community right out of the gate uh, because people learn from each other. It's a career with a rigorous subject matter and qualification process. So, yeah, you have to work hard yourself, but also rely on the people around you to be successful. And then they rely on you too. I eventually got a job in the career, and it was the 2008, just before the 2008 financial crisis. So when I looked around at my peers who had maybe chosen slightly different paths in university and out of it, they were going to articling school or doing residency to become a doctor, and all of those paths seemed like they had like rewarding careers as well, but more of an upfront cost before you can start to get paid, right? And getting paid for me was something that was important because it helped to create space in my life and access to other things that I really enjoyed. So it's been a very good career to me, and I'm happy to be giving back, hopefully, to just that one person out there who's listening today.
Absolutely amazing. And starting in 2008, you could have picked probably an easier year to begin your journey in the actuarial space, couldn't you? But you won't be alone in that. How have you seen the industry change since then, Jeffrey? Because we're almost coming up onto 20 years, aren't we,
Yeah.
since then? So have you seen anything that's been different, or anything that you've seen where you look at and you go, wow, I wasn't expecting this to change, or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed in 20 years. So,
Yeah,
in the next 20 years, I can only imagine what's going to change. When I was studying to be an actuary, there was real stability in what the traditional roles were. Really, you could choose between life and non-life practice. And within life, I kind of gravitated towards life. You could do pensions or insurance, and really there were like those structured roles like pricing and valuation and risk management as the main big categories of actuarial work. But the clarity has changed over the years, and um, I think it's a much broader and more dynamic uh, environment for actuaries to apply their skills today. Um, like thinking back to that financial crisis of 2008, that was a wake-up call for the industry as a whole, and it really revealed um, systemic risk and
yeah,
weaknesses in how financial systems work. And even actuarial assumptions were part of that, right? They're not perfect. But one thing that kind of stood out to me was, at least in Canada, we had a very robust regulation and regulation framework and principles-based assumption setting and risk-based capital, and that helped set us up well for the 2008 crisis and what happened after relative to other places in the world. So I think that was a good, start for me in the career to be in a good place to start things out. Um, so yeah, but like we were saying, that change has been accelerating, and like thinking more recently with COVID-19 had increased attention on biometric risk and long-term health trends, and trying to understand better how tail events fit into historical data. We
yeah,
look back, and they say often the actuary is driving the car in the rearview mirror, looking back to see what's happened. And
yeah.
you do have to look forward too, right? The information that comes from looking back at our experience is good, but we also have to think about what trends are coming through and what's changing that may not be represented in the past. Some of the big things now, like interest rate volatility and inflation rates and sovereign debt crises and capital markets, those continue to be big factors that drive change and risk for actuaries in protecting financial security systems. But I guess we're really forced to think differently about how we react to things that come up and information that emerges in real time. And that kind of leads us right into the horizon that we're on now with artificial intelligence and automation coming in. It fundamentally changes the toolkit that actuaries use itself, like not just how, what we're doing, but how we work and technology we're using and how we build insights looking at historical data is really fundamentally changing. Um,
It's a
but
big, it's big,
yeah,
isn't it, at the moment, AI?
yes.
Everybody's talking about it. It affects a number of different sectors, jobs, roles. Some see it, are fearful of it, that it's going to replace them. Others are embracing it.
Mhm.
Um, do you think it's do you think it's ready yet, Jeffrey? AI? Do you think it's ready to put into the real world, so to speak? And can people practically use it for the good yet, or do you think there's some time that we need to let it really bed into to truly understand it?
I think it's going to keep evolving, but it's not new. Like the artificial intelligence itself is effectively an optimization program, taking in inputs, finding some maximum, and that's what it uses to make a decision. And that's not new. Like the principles underlying artificial intelligence models are statistical analysis and things that actuaries have used for a long time to build expectations about the future. And now they're more dynamic and more self generated, which I think is really cool technology. And if used properly, it's very, very powerful. But you know, it can be used the wrong way
Yeah.
too, not with that intention, but just, there's a lot of complicated information and models out there. So if you can get into things that you may not be so familiar with and make inferences that may not be the most useful when you use artificial intelligence. So it's kind of good to have that sense check and the experience in the industry to compare what you see with a model like that to your intuition and what you've seen before. And yeah, being open to the surprises that come and what they can teach you, I think is a really important skill set for using AI in our work.
Yeah.
Um, now that maybe is a good opportunity to bring up like having more powerful automation tools means we can shift our attention to other things in our roles and in our work. And for me, it was towards people. Oh, if the computer can do a lot more for us, then that
Hmm.
gives us more time to work together and communicate with each other and take the information that the models have given us and make decisions about it. So that's kind of where I got into the coaching thing was to learn how to work with people. I understood math very well, but learning to work with people was a challenge.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, it's a challenge. Communicating complex ideas and solving complicated problems takes really it takes people, more than one person, because no one person can have full perspective and full information to make a decision or solve a problem that hasn't been solved before. Um, so I think like one of the big benefits of AI is it's cleared the way for us to work together more as people, and yeah, that is powerful. I became a coach so that I could lead people in any subject matter and really help people remove the obstacles that get in the way of their performance. It's a performance coach um, framework that I use, and it's really helped me myself personally, but also the people I've worked with to unlock their potential.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you said something that resonates with me. I, on a daily basis, am speaking to actuaries. Okay. And genuinely speaking, most tend to be very mathematically sound and very good with numbers.
Mhm.
To then find someone who's very good with numbers, but also can explain some very complex things to people who are not um, do not have that way of thinking is not an easy mix to have. A lot of people are either one, they're very social and you can do that client facing that communication side, but may not be so good with the technical side. And then usually those who are technically very sound might struggle on the communication piece. How do you marry the two, and can it be taught, Jeffrey? That social side, that communication piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, case in point, right here. I mean, I spoke calculus and finite math when I graduated from high school, and I speak a lot more languages now. Yeah, it can be taught for sure. It's not always um, natural to people to express what's in their minds and to take abstract ideas and communicate them with other people. Um, and it's a skill that I think everybody learns at some point. It's not something that comes naturally, I don't think. Like there are people who generally can flex towards uh, communication and interpersonal skills more than others. Even if you're highly technical. You've stretched in other areas as well, and you can stretch in communication too. Um, for me, like the practice is a big uh, aspect of that. Learning the skills and what the steps are is good, and so that's like maybe the first thing, and then trying it out and seeing where you do well and where you could use more practice or feedback. And then just, being not fearless, but taking conscious choices about what risks you want to take and where you want to practice your skills so that you can grow and develop confidence and expertise in talking to people is, I'd say, really the path to getting there. And
Mm,
it's not an easy one, and it takes dedication and commitment, and it's it's necessary though, I think. Like, it's good to have strong math skills, and because math is everywhere and underlies a lot of the things we see in real life, but to actually make the math have an impact and make a difference for a problem or a person, you need to be able to talk about it and explain it to others and bring people along with you so that what you see in math, others can see as well in words or math, whatever is most accessible to them.
yeah, absolutely. And the working world has changed since you started in 2008. There was an expectation for everyone to go into the office, right, 5 days a week,
Mhm,
and people could learn by watching, right? If the communication side wasn't something that came naturally to you, you could learn off other people.
mhm,
We've moved into more of a hybrid remote working type world now where it's not as easy to learn from your senior leadership team or someone who's really good at that piece.
mhm.
Would you do you encourage people to go into the office and watch people do that, or do you think actually it's fine as it is and people can pick it up in different ways?
It's definitely different than it was pre 2020. Uh, I was in the camp where 5 days in the office
Hmm.
was the way to go. I was always there, and there were good things about that, and there were not good things about that too.
Yeah,
Um, and it's different for every person, I think. But like the learning through environment and through observation, that's a really important way to pick up skills from people, and that's the way that I've picked up most of my skills. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, seeing people do it and get like learning from how they do it, getting the direct training, but also them giving you the opportunity to try it out in the safe environments. That is what gets you those skills. And yeah, if we're not interacting in person together and we need to perform in person at some point, if you don't have that practice, you're not going to be able to do it well out of the gate. It doesn't mean that you won't do it well enough. It just means you would probably have done it better if you had practiced it or had more experience with it. Um, Going into the office itself, I think it depends on the team and the job and the
yeah,
person. But for me, like, what I find to be most important is that when we're in the office together, there is that together aspect of it. We go in to the office and we spend time together, we work together, and we get to hang out together as well. We focus on problems that we couldn't do solve on our own, any one of us, and activities that are more appropriate for being in person and doing them together, like the ones that you had described, where you need to see someone do it, and not everything that they tell you step by step is what you need to do as well. There's more to it than that, and it's dynamic. So, yeah, I think there's a place and a purpose for going into the office
hmm,
and working together in person because, yeah, like in university, thinking all the way back to university, that's how we learned. We went to
yeah,
school and class, and we sat in the library and we did practice problems together, and we passed our papers around to each other at the table. Like that was necessary. If we hadn't done it that way, it would have been more challenging. I think a lot of us would have still been successful, but it would have
yeah,
been much harder.
yeah. No, thank you for that, Jeffrey. That's helpful because that's one of the things that has changed over the last, 20 years, where it throws up different challenges. There are some pros, but there are also some cons too. Um, which leads me on to my next question, really, and that if you could go back and start again, or say start again today, for example, what do you know now that maybe you wish you knew then?
Um, yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons along the
Yeah.
way, not all of them the easy way, but some of the things that I think I wish I had known when I had first started out. The biggest one is probably the concept that my career, it's not a sprint,
Hmm.
it's a marathon, and there's going to be periods where I'm running above my pace and trying to keep up with other people or pass other people. And there's going to be times where I'm like going a little bit slower and maintaining pace to just kind of keep moving forward because the race is dynamic. There's hills up and down. And yeah, I think that running a long way, it takes a lot out of you, and uh, it's something that you need to sustain. Um, so, yeah, looking back, I would have told myself that not every challenge is going to result in immediate success. There's
Hmm.
going to be stumbling blocks that you need to take and need to fall on to a certain extent to be able to keep moving forward. And it's actually in those challenges and working with difficult people in difficult situations that I've learned the most. And those challenges have actually made similar situations that I come across in my life and career a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't really think that when you're going through it the first time, but it does actually make a difference. Like even just contextualizing each of the challenges that you come in later on in your career and your life, um, you get a sense that I can get over this. I can overcome this challenge because look at all of these other really tough challenges I've come across and survived and even better than survived in a
Mm.
lot of situations. So yeah, I think for myself, I would say, you know, this is this is a long race, and you
Hmm.
gotta stay hydrated, get your rest when it's time to rest, and bring your best when it's time to bring your best, and the details will figure themselves out. Don't get too fixated on any one challenge and making sure it finishes the way that you plan it to finish at the beginning, because the path is wandering and the scenery is beautiful, so enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no, that makes sense. And the actuarial profession does have a lot of hurdles that you have to jump over, more than others, I would say. Whether or not it's the exams, is a big hurdle for actuaries, and everyone wants to pass them first time, and everybody wants to do them as quickly as possible because then they're seen as the most successful or the most intelligent, and that's that's not always how it pans out for people, and it can be a lot of the time, people I speak to, they instead of reflecting on themselves, they look at others, and I say comparison is the thief of joy. Just because a colleague of yours or a friend in the industry maybe do it, working their way through those exams a little bit quicker, or may have got that promotion a little bit faster, there is somebody else out there who is not, and not to compare yourself and run your own race. And as you said, it's the journey is winding, it's beautiful. So sometimes just stop and breathe and just remember everything's going to be okay, and not everything comes crashing down all at once.
That's right. Yes.
Lovely. Well, thank you for that, Jeffrey. Um, I want to move on to leadership and coaching
Hmm.
now with you. Um, Something obviously you've got great experience about with your professional qualifications and obviously your background in the actuarial space. Something It's a question that's raised quite often in regards to leadership, and you hear it a lot in sports that leadership is something you're born with, right? It's something that you either have or you don't have. Do you think leadership can be taught, or is it innate?
I think it's a mix of the two, and maybe that's the easy answer to give you, but there's part of you that you will naturally lean towards leadership or away from it. And kind of like communication, how we talked about, you can develop the skills as well if you know what the steps are and you see people doing it and you try it out yourself. Follow that kind of path. But yeah, the best leaders are the people who are actively working on it, being humble and seeking feedback, not just from your leader, but also from the people that you lead, um, and helping them grow and growing alongside them. Those are all the things I think that make someone stand out as a leader. Um, so you setting the vision, but also having a sense of what is possible, what's realistic, what what exists now, and kind of letting people see what you see. Again, coming to that communication of something abstract and something that's not tangible, sharing that with other people and getting them excited about it. That's, I think, really what makes a leader stand out. So skills that you naturally have to have some skills, but you also need to practice and learn them from people and from experiences.
Absolutely. And leadership can come in all different shapes and sizes in the actuarial space. You can sometimes, often, when you get that promotion, you then right, you need to look after a team, or you get that promotion, and we want you to mentor this person in terms of leadership. I've found that leadership isn't always easy, and your team might be overachieving, but it also might be underperforming as well. If that team's underperforming and you're a leader within that team or within that business, how do you help turn things around?
Yeah, it's about people, and people are not math functions. There's no like one solve for X, so to speak.
Yeah,
So it's dynamic and it's not consistent, right? You might get success one day doing the approach that I described with a group of people who are reporting that they're underperforming,
yeah,
and you may do the exact same thing another time, and it works very well. So yeah, just kind of being committed and available and being a good listener and really acknowledging that the people in the situation are the ones that are best equipped to solve it, helping them to find out the answers that they really have all the way from the beginning. I think that's what would what sets someone apart as a good coach, a good leader, and someone who can help people get the most out of themselves.
yeah. And you've touched upon some of the things I was going to ask you next there, Jeffrey, in regards to what makes a great leader stand out. Um, what are the traits or the yeah, what are the traits, I guess is the question I'm going to ask in regards to that helps a leader fulfill their potential and be someone that is there for the team.
The leader that setting of the vision, I think, is something that not only the leader can do, but the leader is to a certain extent best equipped and responsible for getting everybody involved on board with the vision. The vision doesn't just come from the leader; it is co-created with the people.
Hmm.
Mm, Ultimately, those people play an important role in making the vision become reality. So the leader is someone who can articulate what's in it for the people to help them to be motivated and to en- encourage them that at the end of this, there will be a bigger pie and
Hmm.
we won't have to fight over slices, like you kind of alluding to competition and um, comparing yourself to others is a challenge that people experience, and yeah, I see that. So making people aware that there's more than you know to be available, and helping people carve out their space in the plan, their role in what the vision is going to look like in the end, and how they're going to make it happen. Um, and yeah, again, that's where coaching comes in. It's really
Yeah,
helpful uh, be able to meet people where they're at and get like people to unlock their own potential, whether the subject matter is actuarial math, like where I'm an expert, or something entirely different. So
Absolutely. And you must got a lot of satisfaction, Jeffrey, from the coaching side. So when you first initially meet someone and there's barriers or there's blockers in the way of them really kind of fulfilling where they want to be, how do you get them from point A to point B? Is there a template that you follow? Is there, or is everybody different?
there is a framework that I follow, and the essence of it is, yeah, that the client, the person being coached, is the only person who can make a decision about the situation. They have a unique perspective
Mm,
in that they can see from where they are everything that's really relevant. And that's it's good because as the client, you're in the situation and you can share the information with the coach, but the coach like can play back to you what you are sharing with the coach and kind of like reflect to you what you're saying and give you another perspective on it. Um, so yeah, the framework itself is a few questions, but in essence, it's that the client is the person who can solve the problem, and the
yep,
coach is just there to help increase awareness for the client of what obstacles are and what parts of themselves that they can change or their perspective to overcome that obstacle and bring their peak performance.
absolutely. And I guess this follows up to my final question, Jeffrey. And I ask everyone on the podcast this question. So do take your time to have a think about it. But what one piece of advice would you give to the actuarial market or those in the actuarial market right now, which you, again, wish you knew, but know now?
Yeah, I wish I knew the the non-linear path of the
Hmm.
career. It's not going to be all successes. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, the concept of it being a marathon versus a sprint, it's that's really that comes across for me on a daily basis, like putting problems into two categories, ones that I can address and solve right now and
yep,
ones that I can't. And knowing the difference between the two, identifying them, you're gonna get that wrong sometimes too, but um, doing your best to kind of split those things up and focus your attention on the problems that you can solve today. Um, and that those problems, they're like the important problems, right? You're gonna have a lot of problems to solve, a lot of issues to address in life and in your career, and focus your attention on the ones that are going to get you closer to the finish line and yeah, closer to the end of the race.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeffrey. I found it very interesting. Your background is unique, and the combination of obviously your actuarial background with your coaching um, is it's important to have people like you in the market because not everybody has all the answers. Not everybody knows the path, and in this new way of working that we are now in, advice is in short supply sometimes, especially when you're at home on your own in front of a screen, whatever it might be, and everyone is looking to pretend that they know all the answers, but they don't. And we're all just trying to muddle through. So thank you for sharing some insight with me. I found it really, really interesting. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
Likewise, Harry, thanks for your insight as well, sharing your perspective too.
No
Yeah,
problem. Thank you, Jeffrey. You take
thank
care.
you. You too.